Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I've got a new makeup tutorial for you and this time I want to try out some new stuff, so let's get started. And as usual we're starting off with an eye primer. I always call it an eye primer, but it's actually a Maybelline Color Tattoo, which is I think technically a cream eyeshadow. But yeah, I think a lot of, well, for a start a lot of eye primers are clear and I prefer to have like a, you know, just evenly colored base. And also this stuff is, well, not exactly dry, but it's not nourishing, it's not moisturizing. So it doesn't make my skin more moisturized than it needs to be, so it doesn't crease. Now for eyeshadows I'm going to use a new eyeshadow palette, or at least it's new to me. The Catrice Cosmetics Pro Slim eyeshadow palette in Desert Romance. I think this is supposed to be a dupe of the Anastasia Beverly Hills the Modern Renaissance palette. I don't know how to pronounce that because my French isn't that good. But I think it's supposed to be a dupe of that. It has sort of similar colors. But yeah, I feel like this is a palette that could work in summer, it could work in autumn and in winter. And this time I want to do an autumn appropriate look with it. So I'm going to go for quite dark. But yeah, I'm just starting off with more of a brownish shade. Now this is the first step. I'm using quite a firm brush for this and not too much product. Because in my experience with the Pro Slim palettes by Catrice, they're surprisingly good. I mean, they're really cheap. And you know, back in the day, like the beginning of the century, it might have just been my lack of skills as a teen, admittedly, but I don't know. I feel like with cheap eyeshadow palettes back then, it was always, the colors looked nice in the pan, but when you applied them onto your eyelids, they were suddenly like completely gone. Or like chunky as heck, didn't blend, whatever. It never really quite worked out well. Well, these days, I don't know, like, there's pigment, like, it's actually good, it actually blends. Yeah, so I have quite high expectations of this palette. And this first color at least is already a good sign. Next up, we're gonna darken it up a little bit. Here's a little before and after for you. Yeah, like I love layering clothing in autumn, but I also always love layering eyeshadows. Just it gives so much more depth. Like it seems like a small thing when you're applying it, and then you see the result and you're like, yeah, okay, this has a point. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a slightly smaller brush and a burgundy shade and really apply it in the outer corner. And very carefully build it up, like I'm literally just applying a little bit at a time. Also pulling it into the outer corner. But, you know, we've all been there, we've all made that mistake. I've made that mistake numerous times as well. Of immediately going in with an eyeshadow and applying heaps of it and then realizing, oh, and now I suddenly have a smoky eye and oops, and as usually I just pretend that was the entire idea, but you know, fun fact, it usually wasn't. I'm just over enthusiastic sometimes. So yeah, what I'm doing is I'm literally just applying, well, not literally but figuratively I guess, I'm applying like 3 molecules of eyeshadow and then immediately blending it out, and only once I'm done blending it and I've seen the result do I actually contemplate applying more instead of smacking it on there. And yeah, it's easier to apply more than to take away. Keep that in mind, it's something I have to keep telling myself as well, the entire time I'm doing makeup. Then a little bit of brow bone highlight. This one has some shimmer in it, like it's not full on glitter, just a little bit of shimmer. Which, with the entire rest of the crease being matte, I think actually pulls it together quite nicely. And then, big fluffy blender, because there is no tutorial without big fluffy blender. Next up, a bit darker and a bit closer, so you can really see the shimmer well. Because I just, you know, want to show you the shimmer. This is a sort of darkish, glittery shade. There's like, it's one of the two colors in the pan, so you really gotta like rub your brush into it to mix them a little. But yeah, they're really pretty. You could totally apply this with your fingers. I know a lot of people like to apply glitter and heavily shimmery eyeshadows with their fingers. I personally don't, because of the simple reason that I know myself and I know I'm going to be covered in the eyeshadow for the rest of the day if I use my hands. And I'm wearing a white shirt and I just don't want to curse myself with extra laundry. But hey, feel free to use your fingers if you're less clumsy. Then I'm just going to blend the edges of it with a small brush. By the way, this was the shade Sandstorm. I started off with Spice, then I used Wild Love, then I used Pure as a highlight. And yeah, now Sandstorm. In case you're actually using the same palette. Now I'm just going to go back into the shimmer shade with the small blending brush and apply it up here as well. This really depends on your eye shape if you're going to like this on yourself. So yeah, best advice I can give you is to just try it out. But I have quite some space up here, so if I only put the shimmer on my eyelid, I just feel like there's quite a distinct border between shimmer and matte, and I like it to just be a little bit more blended together. Just makes it look like more of one look, rather than two separate pieces. Then lastly, for the inner corner highlight, I'm going to use the shade Golden Hour, which is a pale gold. Very, very surprising, I know. But yeah, I'm just applying that in the inner corner with a pencil brush, blending it into the rest of the shimmer without pulling it too far. And just sort of blending it inwards as well. And then it's time for an eyeliner. Why did I just smack myself with it? It actually hurt. Ouch. Anyway, I'm not sure actually if I want to use a black eyeliner or a brown eyeliner. I'm gonna think about it and you'll see the result in the next clip. So the liner is on there. Also obviously have done my eyebrows and also foundation, concealer and powder. I do want to show you the contour though, because it's also a product I haven't tried before. This is the Desert Bronzing Powder by Pupa. It smells sweet, like marshmallows. It's very interesting. The theme is desert, not dessert, so I don't know what marshmallows have to do with the desert. Anyway, it looks like a nice cool tone, so I'm hoping it will be a nice contour shade. I'm starting off with contouring my nose, because if you're going to use a new product and you don't know what it looks like, why not show it right in the middle of your face, because YOLO. But yeah, luckily it looks good. It is warmer on the face, so yeah, I do think it will make a beautiful bronzer as well. But admittedly, I never actually use bronzer as bronzer, because I'm very pale by nature and I always feel like when I use a bronzer I just look unrealistic, basically. Now for blush I'm using this palest shade here, because I feel like this foundation is literally at the very edge of what is still acceptable in comparison to the rest of my skin. And if I use a very dark blush, I feel like I'm just going to make my face way darker than it has any right to be in comparison to, you know, the rest of myself. Yeah, it still needs to look like, you know, it belongs on my body. And then lastly, a very subtle pale gold highlight. Okay, so now the face is done, we're going to go back to the eyes. Also, by the way, don't pay too much attention to the random pink glitters on my face. It's because I use this brush to powder underneath my eyes as usual. But I completely forgot I'd also used it to use on my Halloween look. Really, I applied Vaseline and glitter with this brush, so having the glitter on my face, that's actually a really good outcome in comparison to what would have happened if I would have accidentally smeared Vaseline on my face over top of foundation. Yeah, anyway, back to the eyeballs. Now the under eye is going to be very simple. I'm just going to use the edge of the flat brush, really tap it off well. Well, you know, dump it in the eyeshadow first and then tap it off, otherwise it's not excessively useful. Point being, I'm going to use Wild Love, the burgundy shade. And just apply it on the outer corner between my lashes, not too much. Then I'm going to use the pencil brush in the shade Eden, which is a very, very pale pinkish nude shade. And I'm going to blend. Reason I'm not using the shade, like as usually for this I use the original crease shade, but I feel like the original crease shade in this case That would just be a little bit darker than I want it to be. Like I said, I'm going for subtle underneath the eyes. Now I'm gonna take a small risk and do a very subtle, like twiggy kind of thing with eyeliner underneath my eyes. I've already done it on this eye, and as you can tell, hopefully you can tell, it's just a little bit more intense. So what I'm gonna do is just wipe like 99.9% of the product off the brush, the eyeliner, and then very carefully make little dots between my lashes. Sort of make them fade towards the end of my outer corner. Now this time I want to use falsies. I haven't used falsies in ages, and this time too I feel like I don't want falsies that are like obviously falsies. Like I don't want spiky lashes or anything. So I'm going to use the Soulmate by xoBeauty, which is more of a lash extension but still quite natural-ish look. So yeah, I'm going to apply those. And they're on there. Yeah, if only it went so quick in real life. Anyway, as you can tell, hopefully you can see them, despite the thick eyeliner. But yeah, they're really fluffy, but they're not really spiky, really huge or natural. So yeah, I also applied mascara on the top and on the bottom, and now it's time to sharpen this nude pencil before I apply it on my waterline. Then lastly the lips. I'm going to use a pencil first and then a lip gloss both in a nude shade. And then we'll be done. And here we have it. The final results. Yeah, it actually turned out really nice. I'm really glad I bought this palette. I always just love it when cheap makeup is this good. Like, I don't know, like from expensive makeup I expect it to be good, and cheap makeup is just, it just feels like I don't know, like just such luck if it's actually a really good product. I really love the eyeshadows. They blend well, they have good pigment. So yeah, I really love this palette. I really hope you enjoyed watching this tutorial. If you did enjoy it, please click the like button. It would really help me out because, you know, it makes YouTube suggest my videos more often to new people. And if you want to see more, you can always subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed yet. And if you want to know exactly what I've used on my face today, I'll make sure that it's all in the video description as always, just in case you want to know specific product names and numbers and stuff like that. For now, as always, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!